Hey everyone, hope you're doing well. Today we're going to talk about cylinder volume and surface area practice problems. So in the previous two videos we talked about how to find the surface area, how to find the volume, and now we're just going to do some practice problems with both to really make sure you understand how to do it. So some formulas, remember, remember first that surface area is the measurement outside, volume is kind of how much it can hold inside. Area of a circle, pi r squared, that'll come in handy, and the circumference is 2 pi r. And what I want you to do is I want you to try, without having these formulas in front of you, to kind of reason out what the circumference, what the surface area should be, and what the volume should be, and see if you can figure out these problems. So let's get started here. My computer's spazzing out. Okay, so find the volume and surface area of the cylinder below. Okay, and let's try to just reason out what they are. So volume is easier for me, so I'm going to start with volume. And volume is going to be the area of the bottom circle, so that's pi r squared. And then it's just going to be multiplied by the height, because clearly I'm going to take the area of the circle on the bottom and then just have a bunch of those all the way to the height of 8. So that's why you just take the area of the bottom and multiply by the height. Pretty intuitive formula there. And I see that I'm given the radius, not the radius, but I'm given the diameter, right? I'm given the circle from end to end. So I know that diameter equals 8, and I know that that equals 2 times the radius, because I have one radius here and one radius there. And I need to find r to plug into that. So r equals 4. Okay, and I also am given the height, so I think I'm good to go. Plug everything into my volume formula. I get pi times 4 squared times height of 8. So V equals 4 squared is 16 times 8 is going to be, what is that? What's 16 times 2 is 32, times 2 is 64, should be 128. 16 times 8 should be 128. Let me check that really quick. And that is correct. Okay, so we'll say units squared, or units cubed actually, because it's volume. Okay, so now let's think of the surface area. This one is a little bit harder to think of, just naturally, so I'm not going to try to not use the formula. Well, first thing I'm going to notice is that I know the surface area is the area on the outside of the shape. Well, I know that that's going to be the, it's going to be one of these circles here, but it's going to be the circle on the bottom and on the top, because that's on the outside of the shape. That has to be part of the surface area. So that's 2 times the area of the circle, so pi r squared. Okay, and then I also know I have a middle section here, so I have the area of the bottom and the top accounted for, but then what about the area of everything showing up on the sides? Well, that's got to be related to the circumference, and it's going to be the circumference times the height, because that's how tall the cylinder is, and all of that is on the outside. So this should be pi, well, let's think about what's the formulas for circumference. C equals 2 pi r, which equals pi d. And that's going to be plus 2 times pi times d. What is, well, d is going to be, well, I was going to do r, but pi d is going to be 8 pi. But we have to multiply that by the height, which is 8, because circumference in this case is 8 pi. That's what I plugged in there. Okay, and then the height is h. So I'll just write the surface area formula that I just derived. I got 2 pi r squared plus 2 pi r times h. So you can kind of derive these formulas on your own as you go if you don't memorize them, which you don't really have to do. I don't really recommend you memorize them, because then you might switch up the variables or something small, when really they can be derived easily, and that shows a deeper understanding. So now let's figure out the surface area after that with that formula we just figured out. So 2 pi times r squared is going to be 4 squared plus 64 pi, just 8 times 8, and then pi. So that becomes, well, 2 pi times 4 squared is 32 pi total. 32 pi plus 64 pi. And that's going to be, well, this should be 128 pi units. That's my bad. Let me fix that. Sorry, I just noticed that while I was doing the different problem, but this should be 128 pi units cubed. Sorry about that. Okay, and this one should be 32 plus 64 pi, which is going to equal 96 pi units squared. Area has units squared, volume has units cubed. So that's the surface area of this. So now let's look at number 2. So this says, find the surface area of a cylinder whose volume is 324 pi and whose surface area is circumference is 12 pi. All right, so V equals 324 pi. And let's see what that equals. Well, that is my pi r squared times h. And I'm also given that circumference, which equals 2 pi r, that equals 12 pi. Okay, so if I want to find the surface area, let's see what I need to know. So I need surface area. We just derived these formulas. It's 2 pi r h plus 2 times pi r squared. And now let's think of, okay, well, what do I have and what do I need to have? So I know that, well, c is 2 pi r, and I see that that's right in this formula. So it's 2 pi r squared. Well, let's solve for r's, because we're going to need to have r eventually. So 2 pi r equals 12 pi. I'm going to divide by 12 pi, well, I'm going to divide by 2 pi, not 12 pi, to get r by itself. And I get r equals 6. Okay, so if r equals 6, that's good. The other thing that I need is the height of the shape, so I can use that with my volume. 300, I can figure that out with the volume. So 324 pi equals pi times 6 squared times h, which equals 324 pi equals 36 pi times h, equals 36 pi times h, divide by 36 pi. What's 320? The pi's will cancel. What's 324 divided by 36? That's going to be 9. So h equals 9, r equals 6. I have everything I need now with these two formulas to plug them into that, and I should be good to go. So surface area equals 2 pi times r is 6 times h of 9 plus 2 pi times r squared is 6 squared equals, well, 2 pi times 6, well, 2 pi times 54 is 108 pi plus, and then this side is going to be 36 times 2 is 72 pi. So I get surface area equals 180 pi. And that is my answer to this problem. And I think that's all I have for today. So hopefully now you're kind of getting an understanding of how everything relates. I really hope that you can derive these formulas on your own without memorizing them. But if you just need to memorize them, that's fine for now. And hopefully as you go on, you'll see why it really makes sense intuitively. Okay, so let me know if you have any questions. Thanks for watching today's video. Have a good one.